This classic whistle-stop presentation is brought to you by Out West. Love the West? So do we. Click the icon or go to scvoutwest.com.
Our next stop is Burbank, California, and our producer, Frank Bruno, will be given a guided tour of Railroad Supply Corporation showroom by Chet Peterson, along with information about trains you can set up and ride in your own backyard. Growing up, like most of us, Frank had a Lionel train set up in the living room every Christmas. Later, he went from O gauge to HO. But one of his fondest dreams is to have a backyard railroad just like this cartoon character had, as shown here from an early childhood book. Since 1970, when Chet Peterson retired from aviation, Railroad Supply Corporation was formed to make available live steam engines and backyard railroading at its finest.
And at this time, I'd like to present the president and founder of Railroad Supply Corporation, Mr. Chet Peterson. Chet, thank you for having us.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, I'll tell you.
Thank you, thank you. And I'd like to say that we told some of the other clubs that we were going to have you interview you. They were very surprised, and they knew about you, and I have to say you have to be a legend in your own time.
No legend, maybe.
So, whenever you want to, let's see some of your products, or if you
We've got them all around us. Let's go look.
Fine.
We're in the showroom, that's right. Here, now this engine is kind of special to me. You see, I built this one long before I had any idea we'd be in business. It's been running now for almost 25 years. And it weighs about just over a ton. And when she's rolling, you know, it's just like a girl. It's all alive. It's more fun than flying an airplane. When you're on this, it's a thrill all the way.
Approximately.
How many cars could it pull?
Well, I put 16 Pullmans behind it, heavyweights, and I've loaded the Pullmans, and it'd pull more than that, but that's like 4 people in a car. So what have you got? About 64 people, yeah. And she'll haul out. It's got about almost 10 tons of drawbar pull for rolling weight. It'll pull almost 10 tons of rolling weight.
How long did this take you to build?
Took 7 years. 7 long years. Of course, I wasn't much of a machinist, so I spoiled a lot of parts. And other people probably do it faster, but I did the best I could. I got it rolling in about 61 was when I first rolled it. Then I had some finish work, and by 63, why, it was all together. It's been a good one. I've enjoyed every bit of it. I don't really intend to ever sell it. Well, I can use it.
Scale-wise, what's the scale on this?
Oh, this is just, well, 1.5 inches to the foot is what we generally use as a figure. In other words, it's 1/8 exactly the size of the real one. And the real one would be just 8 times larger. And sometimes I wish it were so I could climb in that cab.
Oh, well, let's take a look at it.
All right, let's try that on. Of course, I sit here, feet are in here. My throttle's right here where I can watch it, and I can watch right down in here for my steam gauge and all my valves. Now my reversing lever, Johnson bar, is over here. My whistle lever's over here. If I have to look out through the cab, I can. And, of course, here's the fire door. I keep that closed when I'm rolling because, boy, that's a mighty hot fire in there. And actually, the cab is set up with the brakes over here, train brakes, engine brakes, just like the real one. Except that I'm not small enough to get into it, so I have to think about that. I sit here. But it operates, it's oil-fired, just as the real one was. I carry 33 gallons of water in the tender tank. That's being pumped all the time up here as the engine's making steam. 7 gallons of fuel oil in here. And that, of course, is being used all the time by the burner. Now that 33 gallons of water and the 7 gallons of oil will run me about 2.5 hours. Then I have to come in for fuel and water.
This is the Union Pacific Northern?
It's Union Pacific Northern, yeah. They made 44 of these engines. And the first 20 were light Northerns, and then from 20 on through 44 were the heavy Northerns. This is a 825, which is a replica of the heavy Northern. Now I'd like to show you our pride and joy for the company here. That's our new Mikado. We've all had a hand in that one. When I say we've all had a hand in it, I'd like to have you meet our Vice President of Operations here. Dan? Dan, this is Dan Wright.
How you doing?
Hello, Frank Bruno.
Same here.
And Dan, you can tell him about as much about this as I can.
Frank, this, as Chet said, is our new Mikado. It's the newest and biggest locomotive that we manufacture. And as you know, our business is building kits of locomotives for people to assemble themselves. And this locomotive is sort of the paramount of our line. Frank, in the early part of this century, the United States Railway Administration began a program that was an attempt to standardize some designs of locomotives. And this locomotive is one of the products of that program and is known as the Mikado. The early production of this locomotive was sold to purchasers in Japan, and in Japanese the Mikado means emperor. And it indeed is the emperor. It is, the wheel designation is 282 for this locomotive, and it is a large freight locomotive that was commonly used all over the United States and by many different railroad companies. We have chosen this unit because it is used by so many different companies on both the East Coast, the West Coast, and all over the United States, actually. Now, it's been my responsibility to develop this engine for production and patterns and things, and we are now able to offer this for people to build themselves in kit form, or we can sell it in a ready-to-run form also for people that would like to buy one ready to operate.
Don't go away, there's another part to this presentation brought to you by Out West. Shop, look, and listen right here at WhistleStopUSATV.com.